Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Why Ukraine live stream. Thank you all for coming. I see a lot of people are here already. The real Dave Seaman, Miriam, thank you for coming. Ronnie, Holy Oblation, Anna. Oh, UTV and Ham. Cool. So, UTV and Ham, I saw your message last time and I didn't have a chance to address it. Are you telling me that the wrong package came to you? That would be just exactly perfect. When I sent, the packages from Nova Postia, one was addressed for Great Britain, and the other one. Okay, so shoot me an email if that is the case. Silver Earth, thank you for coming. So Viper, wonderful to see you. Why is Russia doing this? I mean, why is Russia doing any of this, right? Apatox, how you doing, man? I caught part of your live stream today. Why? Now, you guys might have seen that I released a short video from my trip from a couple weeks ago. Nikki, thanks for coming. You guys might have seen, I think I released it yesterday. I think it finally got published. But of the Kharkiv main communications tower, which is right around here, like in this general area here. Last gasp of a dying regime, yes, possibly. So kind of in this general area, there's this big tower, and a big, TV tower. It's been there since, the 60s, I think, since the Soviet Union. And you can see it from the whole city. It's like the pride of the city. My thought was, and this happened while I was there. I was staying in Kharkiv, but I was in Sloviansk at the time when the attack occurred. And my first thought was, well, of course, that's the first thing they're going to do is try, if they're going to stage an invasion, they're going to try to attack the communications. And it's on the north side of the city. I'm surprised they didn't take it out a long time ago, to be honest. Hello, Bill. Thanks for coming. Always good to see you all here. And Cheryl's here from Arizona too. So yeah, so they've captured, a couple of villages here, and I mean, a lot of people are saying, and the government is saying, well, they're basically just trying to do the same thing to Ukraine that Ukraine did with the Freedom of Russia Legion. They also lost 1,300 people today. The Russians did. 1,300 soldiers. Hello, Mitch. Thank you for coming. I'm beginning to think, the Russians were saying that they were talking about to the last Ukrainian. This is one of their propaganda lines. I'm beginning to think that they're going to fight to the last Russian, or at least the last capable Russian. Now, the ratios that we have seen, unfortunately, excuse me, the ratios that we have seen of 1 to 3. So 1 Ukrainian for 3 Russians. That's losing. You're losing. We got to change that. Shere Khan and Mr. Nobody. Awesome. Viper, that's an interesting statement. No tank or APC made it across the border. Wow. Speaks volumes, doesn't it? But it's not just the Kharkiv offensive that's going on. Russia has decided to just really light things up all over the place, and down by Avdiivka, and then also very interestingly in the Luhansk Liman area, and this is one that I actually find the most interesting, just because it's down here by Slovyansk, and so it actually, if you see this arrow here, this is where it's happening. So you've got Makivka, and they're trying to push up against, this is, if they can cover this last, few kilometers, then they'll be able to say, oh, we've taken all of Luhansk here. So this is the last little sliver of Luhansk, the state of Luhansk Oblast, essentially, that is not occupied. And you can almost see, that's interesting, Viper. Only DRG and POWs, prisoners of war. Yeah. Now, DRG are like special forces. I forget what DRG stands for, but think of them as like special forces. So basically, they going back up to the Kharkiv front up here. So this was a special forces in Kurzin primarily. Not really what we would call a full-scale invasion. And it's just very interesting to compare that to the Freedom of Russia Legion attacks up in this area here in Sumy region and in this general area, just to compare them. I mean, are they planning to hold that ground? Do they really think that it's going to divert any troops? No, but this, to me, I mean, I understand that Avdiivka is, and down here is the main thrust, and the main thrust that's really happening that we need to be afraid about. Afraid is a strong word. I'm sorry. But this one here, where they're trying to get to Pokrovsk, and over here where they're trying to get to Chasiv Yar. Wow, Viper, that's amazing. So yeah, DRG, but captured a commander and an NCO. Wow, I did not hear about that. That's really something. Holy cow. So I think that they're way. I mean, yeah, there you go. Real Dave Seaman, exactly. It smells like panic to me. They're attacking now while they still can, or they think they can. By the way, guys, Restream made some changes to its, as you can see, the video format, and some things are better and some things are not, because I can see your chat, of course, but it's not showing up in the video itself, which, I mean, that's fine. I guess it's fine. But if you're watching from like YouTube, for example, which not too many people do, but if you are, then you will lose a lot of things. So they're trying to take Pokrovsk. They're not going to take Pokrovsk. I'm actually pretty disappointed, to be honest with you, that the Ukraine, that the ZSU has more or less announced that they believe that they will lose Chasiv Yar. Oh, Real Dave Seam, you think it's better? So it's an improvement? Okay, fair enough then. All right. I didn't see anybody really complaining, so good. Anna B, thank you for coming. Oh, Cheryl asked the question. They have NCOs now. Yeah, I'm curious as to what qualifies as an NCO in the Russian army. Oh yeah, Holy Oblation. A couple of people have talked about that. It's if you're using a big TV in your living room. Yeah, that makes sense too. I can see. Maybe there's a way to get it back. I don't know, but uh, in any case, um, this is kind of like a, not to get too Star Wars on you here. I know that we try to keep our nerd stuff separate, but Chasiv Yar is kind of like the high ground, and especially going in this direction from east to west, and I'm just a little bit concerned that Chasiv Yar was supposed to be this big great fortress, and now they're talking about, oh well, I guess we're going to lose it now. And you can kind of see what they're trying to do here in the east. They're trying to create another pocket so that pretty soon they can, create a cauldron down here in Seversk. Anna says, qualifications for NCO is the one who steals more toilets. Viper, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Viper says they will not lose Chasiv Yar. It is stable now. Yeah. Although I did like, really, I've seen it says, although I did like to use the chat to go completely off topic just to mess with James a bit. Oh, fair. Cheryl, yeah, the FABs. Okay, the FABs. I'm not going to talk about the FABs today, but the FABs suck, man. I'm sure a lot of people will attest to that. And, the solution to the FABs is more Patriots, to be honest, to take out those Su-25s and whatever the other Russian jets are carrying them, because they have to get within, I believe, the range. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the range on a FAB 500 is 45 kilometers. So they've got to get within that range, Anyway, so this is the deal. Russian forces contained in gray zone, showing no signs of advancement. They had to evacuate some villages. I mean, it's horrible. You imagine you losing your home and stuff to these asswipes. But it's a question about like what's their long-term, their strategic objective. Is this kind of like a beachhead that they want to establish? I just like, it doesn't. It's dumb, Dum. I mean, it would be smart. It would be smart for them if they had, 500,000 troops. But 50,000? I'm going, come on. There's still, I mean, when I was in Kharkiv a couple weeks ago, there's still a lot of people there. It was well populated, I can tell you. I don't know if it was 1.5 million, but something like that. By the way, do you guys hear music? I think I accidentally. Oh, I see. I was playing around with the new settings earlier and turned on the music. Uh-oh. Blonde Bombsheller was late. Tisk. That will cost you 1 drone raffle ticket, Blonde Bombsheller. By the way, that reminds me, since I've got it here and I've got it set up, we do, and I I'm sorry I can't tell you how much we have raised for the next drone, but we do have our drone raffle up and running. I can't tell you just because I didn't have time to check on it, and I have to do lots of math, and I can't do math while I'm doing a live stream. But as I recall, I think we're about around 200 bucks. Now so this is we're gonna buy another one of these $1,000 one of these $1,000 drones. That's the Spider 3 that carries 6 kilograms. So it can act as an FPV as well. In other words, a kamikaze drone. And or it can drop things, be equipped to drop stuff. Yeah, Herb, you think half month's pay, rate reduction for 6 months, and extra duty? Yeah, definitely. Yes, Mr. Nobody, correct. Yeah, the Bradleys are getting to the front. It's like it's not all there yet, but it's coming, and they're rushing it to the front lines, and it's already making a difference. You know, I really think, I think that Russia, screwed the pooch. They're coming in too late on this. Cheryl, about 3rd Assault Brigade coming from the south side of Ivanivsky. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if that's, but they might, Avdiivka is still pretty hot. So they might be hanging out down there. I don't know where 3rd Assault is right now, primarily. I mean, to be honest with you, you see them all over the place. Viper, oh, you think up in you think they'll send some biker gangs up in Kharkiv? Yeah, the Bradleys like instantly making a difference. I mean, guys, I will tell you that I saw 3rd Assault Brigade, in multiple. When I'm not going to tell you exactly where, but I saw them out there. So they're in a lot of places. Ronnie, oh, okay. Where to PayPal James? Yeah, that's luckily. Let me see if I can do this correctly. Boosh, my PayPal is right there. But yeah, well, I'll put it in the Discord as well, Ronnie. Paul, good to see you. Paul, please let me know if you've gotten your package yet. You should have gotten it by now, I think. I need to check the tracking. It's been a crazy busy week for me. Real Dave Seaman says, I just bought two raffle tickets. Great. For UTV. Okay. That's very nice of you. Yeah, so you can do the PayPal, or I now have Buy Me a Coffee set up. So you can go to this is the if you go to Buy Me a Coffee here, you can actually just put like drone or drone raffle or just raffle here, and or you can go here, and this is like an actual shop, and you can make a donation there. All goes the same. All goes the same place. Mr. Nobody, I saw a video of AFU trying out a quadcopter drone. Yes, with the mounted machine guns clearing out Russian trenches. Yes. Yes, I did see that. Yeah, Viper, just those F-16s. I mean, I'm hearing June. I'm hearing June. Okay, Paul. I'm gonna try and check on that tonight or tomorrow, and because UTV and Ham said he got the package, but it might have been the wrong package. So I'm hoping they didn't get them mixed up. Good God, terrible. Oh, Tridents. Hey, well, you said Tridents Against Tyrants says my power went out. I for a second I wanted to say, are you in Ukraine right now? Sounds like you might be here. Um, uh, that's okay. I'm sorry your power went out though. Oh, cool. All right. Thanks, Ronnie. Thank you for getting that screenshot. Yeah, and I will make sure it's in the Discord as well. Hello, Max. Welcome, welcome. So anyway, so that's what's going on the front line. I don't mean to sound so lackadaisical about it. Guys are dying, and it was really bad last week. I was seeing articles, and honestly, this whole past week, I was seeing articles all over the place of, so and so died. This guy on my Facebook. I'm friends with a lot of soldiers, Facebook friends, right? And a lot of notifications about people. And so I think, like I was saying earlier, anytime we need to be at a 10-to-1 ratio with the Russians. Okay, that's what needs to happen. 3-to-1 is Ukraine is losing. So it's funny, Max. Only my children call me Jim. Just a interesting little aside. Anyway. Yeah, the Ukrainian punk Antifa hooligan squad on United 24 Media was amazing. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting video. Oh, July. Okay, yeah, I've heard July. I've heard a lot of things, So let's keep going here through the yeah, so they lost. Here we go. So they lost over 1,300 soldiers yesterday. It's crazy town. It's crazy town, Max, what's my handle? I have different handles actually. James, you can call me Jim. It's fine. You can call me. Just don't call me late for dinner. All right. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah. So the Russians, 15 tanks, 55 artillery. Like, I was listening to Andrew Perpetua. I think that was who it was today. And to be honest, oh, thank you, Paul. 5 coffees donated for the drones. Awesome. So I think it was Andrew Perpetua talking about, the BTRs and the BMPs that they had, like, supposedly like 15,000 of them, and now they're down to, so this is total losses here. Now they're down to maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, something like that. Oh, Herb, your handle is AVB, huh? That's cool. I'll try to remember that. But you don't mess around. Thanks, Max. I don't remember what that song that was, but yeah, old song. I keep hearing estimates that Russia can keep going for another year or two at the current rate, but not if they're losing 1,300 a day. I just hope that this doesn't mean that the losses on the Ukrainian side are 1/3 of that. That would be disconcerting, I should say. And in the meantime, in Belgorod, they apparently dropped a drone the Russians dropped a drone on a kindergarten, on their own kindergarten. You know, like, it just, yeah, a Lancet kamikaze drone dropped on the territory of a kindergarten in the Belgorod region. And just for point of reference, that's up here where this, you know, somewhere near the border, one of these little villages here. Dum 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 dum. God. This, though, yeah, Cheryl. Cheryl's like, what the fuck? Yeah, Herb. It's for most days of the last 2 weeks, 1,300 per day. You know, we just keep hearing these numbers over and over. Viper says, just saying that if they drive in battle with shit like bikes and pallets, how full is their tanks and APCs, etc.? Exactly. Yeah. You know, and they're just, it's awful. They're just sending their guys to literal meat grinders. It's crazy. It's crazy. An entire generation of Russian men, multiple generations of Russian men, are going to be just wiped out. You know, wiped out. That has long-term effects on a society, and we're going to talk about that as we go along here. But this is an interesting little headline. So you may have seen this already, but the SBU, that's the Ukrainian FBI, essentially. There were terrorist attacks planned by the GRU is, they have the FSB and the GRU, and they both were originally part of the KGB. So the GRU is, you might argue, is the more military offensive part of part of the Russians Chekist forces. That's sorry, I just saw your comment there, Paul. So is Surovikin about to be rehabilitated and made head of the Orc army? This is speculation that's happening out there because he was, I guess, in Greece on quote unquote vacation, not exile at all. And now that, you know, last stream, I think it was last stream where I talked about these things, I talked about how the Shoigu and his cronies looks like they're, you know, Putin's shoving them out, and there's thoughts that maybe Surovikin will come back and take up a role, which I don't like that idea. Thank you very much. Because he seemed, you know, he's the one who came up with this damn Surovikin line, and he's the one who, I mean, yes, he did the retreat across the Dnipro River, but it was a smart strategic move for the Russians, you know. But so this, you know, it shows, though, in many ways, it shows Russia's weakness. This that they're planning terrorist attacks in Kyiv. It shows their weakness because they can't do anything else. Okay, the SBU was proactive. The perpetrators of the terrorist attack were detained red-handed. We have also collected evidence that unequivocally confirms the Russian connection. I'm sure we'll see more details come out about it because this happened just 2 days ago. But there was also, they had planned to try and assassinate Zelensky. And that was someone within the SBU, Zelensky's own guards. So Zelensky actually actually fired the head of his guard, of his presidential guard because this happened. Yeah. So I want to talk about okay, sure, we can go into the Forbes thing. No, I think I want to skip this article. It's interesting, but it's not the most important. And I want to talk about this, but I want to save it. I think I want to save it for later. I want to talk about this. So, as you guys may remember, we are working on a plan to do training for volunteers here in Ukraine. Those of you who want to come to help. Now, these girls, this is training that is occurring, and they're using real guns for the most part. Kaboom, the explosion comes out of thin air. I drop to the forest floor and press into the wet spring soil that reeks of earthworms. Hands on my neck, heels together. Anyway, it's a well-written article. I would suggest reading it. They're doing live fire. Well, not live fire. They're doing fake fire training. Just out in the forest. These are civilians. As you can see, a lot of them are women. Some of them are men. There's a real desire and need among Ukrainians, even if they're not in the army, they want to do this kind of training. It says here, in this exercise, Colibri died. She did not twist her tourniquet strongly enough to dam the river of blood gushing out of her limb. Our trench had been ambushed, and the enemy shot our evacuation team as they attempted to drag the wounded out of the spring jungle near Kyiv. We, a ragtag group of civilians, were quote-unquote killed endless times during our 5-day army boot camp. Emergency medics taught us not only to survive, but also assault enemy positions. Wow. For 5 days, we traded our lives as computer engineers, software developers, teachers, journalists, translators, and barbers. Civilian life was put on hold while we learned to destroy those who want to us. There's a lot of desire for this, and I know that some of you have expressed a desire to come to Ukraine. I don't know that of us will be involved in actual, assaulting trenches. Well, but most of you, if you come to Ukraine, you should at least know how to, put on a tourniquet on yourself and on someone else. You may never need it, and I hope you never do, but it's a good skill to have. So it's very interesting that it's an interesting context, because there's a big problem right now, as we all know, as you should know, with recruitment in the army, with mobilization into the army. And just think about why. Here, this article here, the USSR lost about 26.6 million lives in World War II. in fact, the total Ukrainian losses out of that 26 million vary between 40 and 44% of the total casualties of the USSR. Now, think about how big Ukraine is in comparison to the rest of the USSR. And 40%. What's 40% of 26 million? I have to use a calculator. I'm terrible. Times, wait, yeah, 0.4. Yeah. So 10 million, more than 10 million Ukrainians. Okay. A much higher percentage than the rest of the USSR, Russia, and all the other oblasts. So think about how that historical memory could have affected the Ukrainian population and how that carries down. This is something I feel like I really want to talk about today. Let's just take a look at. Here we go. So this is Ukraine's demographics in 2021, as of 2021. And just to make things clear here, the dark red on the right-hand side, that shows how many more women there are at that age range than men. So if you're in your 80s, 70s, and 80s, now I understand that for a number of reasons, often our stupidity, women live longer than men. But I want you to take a look at this little animated GIF. So this traces the Ukraine's population pyramid starting in 1989. Yeah. So let's see if we can. I guess I can't make it stop. But if you look at in 1989, what I'm saying is that after World War II, here we go. You can see this whole World War II generation. There were just and there were so many more women than men in general, because yeah, you're right, Paul. Belarus lost a lot as well, but there's so many more women than men. These younger generations down here. Okay, now as you can see now in the modern era, it's slightly the opposite. There's slightly more men than women. It's more evened out. But this female surplus, as it's stated on this graph, these are the grandmothers. You know, these are the we could argue. I would argue, perhaps, that women create culture. They're the mothers. They raise the children, and they shape society. And it's very much the case that women here in Ukraine, how do I say this? They complain about the men a lot. A lot. First of all, while I think that this this graph that we see here shows an even ratio of men to women in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Throughout most of the 1990s and 2000s, and even up until very recently in Ukraine, if you were a man, and especially since like 2014, since 2004. If you were a man, you did not stay in Ukraine. You left Ukraine to get a job in Poland or somewhere else, or at least you would go temporarily to the EU or what have you. So the generation of men who would be fathers to the young men who are becoming adults today, and the men in their 20s, they were those fathers were gone. So you have two generations here. One, three really. These older generations where there's much fewer men than women. The men that are around and do exist, that didn't die in World War II or what have you, basically are drinking themselves to death, and that's true for men in their 40s, certainly as well, and sometimes even in their 30s. And so the young men, especially, and I'm saying men from let's say maybe in their 30s on down into their 20s, these Ukrainian culture has been so much shaped by women. These men have been raised by women strictly for multiple generations. Yeah, Paul, it's very interesting. You said that. You said I met so many matriarchal families in Ukraine and Russia. Yeah, they're absolutely. I think it is, despite there's a lot of sexism and women suffer abuse in relationships. And Russia especially has a horrible track record for spousal abuse. So, but let's put it this way: I know a lot of these guys. Okay, they're the guys I teach. These guys in their 20s and 30s, usually IT guys. And how do I say this? They literally go straight from their being raised by their mother to their wife. They never learn how to live independently. They never learn how to cook their own food. They're incapable of functioning on their own. And a lot of women here complain about that. When I talk to these guys and when they talk about the prospect, the possibility of going to war or having to join the army, they're horrified. They're absolutely horrified. Yeah, so Herb, that's interesting. I grew up in a home decimated by NAM. Interesting. I'm sorry to hear that, by the way. All women around me, women doing everything, factory work, delivering mail, raising multiple generations in the same home. Yes, exactly. And you also have to keep in mind that, multi-generational homes are much more common here, and, they never really went away, especially, multi-generational homes were common in the United States and Western Europe in the 1800s, as late as the 1800s, but in the 20th century under communism, especially after the Holodomor, families had to they just had to live in these incredibly cramped, because a lot of them had to move to the cities. There wasn't enough housing in the cities throughout most of the 50s, 1950s, early 60s. And so they were crammed into these apartments, smaller than the room that I'm in right now, with 5 or 6 people living in one room. A lot like living in Silicon Valley, actually. And so it's very common to hear like things like, yeah, I share an apartment with my mother and my girlfriend is moved in. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of awkward, isn't it? Um, and then I find out that, oh, it's just a one room apartment, not a one bedroom apartment, a one room apartment. and then they wonder why Ukrainians are not having enough children too, because I don't know if you like having sex with your girlfriend in front of your mother, but that's not my favorite part of Pornhub. Let's put it that way. Um, yeah. Oh, interesting. Interesting, Viper. This is a really interesting statement. Viper says, James, I understand, but 4 weeks in basic combat training, and then the fear will subside. Brothers bond is one of the strongest. I agree. I agree with you. And I would argue that it's most women here in Ukraine would say that the men are it's like multiple generation man childs kind of, and I mean obviously clearly that's not the case for all. Okay, and don't kill the messenger here. I'm just telling you what I've been told. But these stereotypes are very hard to break, and so here then this is pretty important. So this is looking at the situation. Let's see if I can open this up separately. Yeah, there we go. This is the situation, post-war, or now. This is the situation now. So there a lot of people have left, is what I'm trying to say, especially the women. You can see here, it's almost going to be like reversed, or it is reversed right now. So there's far more men than women in the country in these certain age ranges. Okay, and you can see in the age ranges of 10 to 14, 15 to 19, 5 to 9, 0 to 4, these men, all the gray areas are the ones who left the country, if I understand this graph correctly. Just to, kind of give you a sense of how many Ukrainians have left. And I know a lot of them have come back and stuff, but the point is these are the children that the women took with them, So that hurts even worse. The male and female children that these women took with them, and now they are living outside the country. It's, in any case, the point is, and I want to bring up this article here. So this is lb.ua, which I like lb.ua because it's not written for a foreign audience. So this is the article here says military personnel have the fewest rights in Ukraine. Let's be honest. I would not join the army in 2024. It's written by a woman, of course, but in 2022, hundreds of thousands of civil. Okay, I won't skip the sentence. All Ukrainians reset their trust in the authorities. That's very interesting. They reset. Ah, yes. Viper, this is a very interesting statement. I have met strong men that are just amazing, real humble giants. Yes, me too. Absolutely. Think prior to full-scale invasion. You agree, but now I don't think so. Yeah. I think that it's war changes people, and it's changing this society quite rapidly. Sorry, I just saw Y just said not in front of my mom, but her mom. God. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, sure. Cheryl, you make a good point. I always imagine living in a longhouse, the Native American longhouses, Viking longhouses, you know. Yeah. So Oh, UTV and Ham, thanks for coming. Appreciate it. So, all right. So it says in 2022, all Ukrainians reset their trust in the authorities. That's very interesting, right? Because as I've said before, Ukrainians don't trust their government. Hundreds of thousands of civilians came into military commissars and directly to the units. The military commissariat refused me, so I found contacts in the battalion and mobilized directly at the beginning of March. Most expected to be in military status temporarily or to be demobilized in the first wave in a year and a half, as it was organized in 2015. All these people understood that the country needs time to reorganize itself and become a fortress. So, pretty interesting. So there is, and I've said this before, but there's despite what people may say, there's a strong social, I would say, I don't know, tradition, legacy perhaps of the Soviet Union, of World War II, because of the things I described, and for other reasons as well, of arguably, I would say, a denigration of military personnel, people who serve in the army. And I was talking about this with some of my students, my Ukrainian students, and I said, yeah, in America, if you want to, get a woman, just wear a uniform. Just go to the bar and wear your uniform, And they were shocked by this. Like, I mean, I know I'm overstating it a little bit, but, women love a guy in uniform. And they were like, wow, that's really strange because here, we don't have that same high regard, And so a big problem with this new law on mobilization is it did not it did not include demobilization. So at the beginning of 2024, the law was adopted without a single word about demobilization. So these people who signed up at the beginning of the war, like this person described here, they're like, hey, I've been doing this for 2 years now. I had a life at home, and now I'm stuck. And how does that's not gonna make people want to keep coming. It's not gonna make people want to keep joining the military, So I like this article because it has some good recommendations. Okay. Mobilization. So this is what what can be done to get people to join in the army. This is here in Ukraine. Mobilization for a certain period. It's hard for people to decide for themselves to go and serve for an indefinite period forever. Make it a 2-year thing, and then you can sign up again. Then number 2 here, demobilization. Most people have acquaintances in the army who talk about feeling cheated by the state, hopelessness due to lack of service, and about fatigue. On social networks, military personnel write about the cold, loss of social ties in civilian life, funerals of comrades, and I talk about that. I've heard that from my friends too. Viper, I wear a uniform daily and I'm 6'4", but where to find time for a woman? I have 6 full-grown sons that keep me busy. Fair enough. Apatox, is there still rotation of forces for downtime in R&R? I thought that was something being done in the beginning. yeah, that I'm a little bit unclear about that myself. I have friends in the Legion, and I know people who, yeah, they might have they might be on for 6 days and then off for 6 days. But that's not the same as being demobilized. Or maybe they get a vacation or something like that, but that's not the same as you know, being out of the army, essentially. You know, Canti, what are you growing? Okay. Oh, lunch. I see. Okay. Sorry, I thought you were speaking of something else. So anyway, I like articles that aren't just complaining. They're actually saying, "Hey, these are things. This is how to fix it." You know. So number 3 here, he says, as a transparent way of mobilizing and punishing evaders. So people should understand who will serve and will not, and why. People should know step by step how mobilization takes place, what kind of training, how to get into the chosen unit, how to mobilize for a specific position, and how to get a useful military specialty in advance. Those who evade mobilization should know that the price for such an act is high. I think they're making steps in this right here in this direction. And it's very interesting that in the International Legion, they have implemented this mobilization for a certain period, 6 months. You know, but this part, demobilization, it's a missing piece. And here it's very interesting. It says if so wounded soldiers walk the streets of cities. They stay in hospital for a short time and return to the front. And I saw a wounded soldier today while I was at the graveyard, which we'll talk about here. If people see the positive stories of veterans who have served and come back to their families telling heroic stories and wearing decorations, it will change attitudes about service. So that's a big thing that I just don't think the Ukrainian government is you know, I see billboards all over the place, okay, but I don't think that they have. Yeah, there's a legacy, like I said, a long legacy that they have to fight against. You know, so the reason I'm thinking about this is just because today I spent this morning, and I'm this weekend is Memory Week here in Ukraine, and it's the weekend after Easter, and I just want to show you. Oh wait, okay. Let's see if I can find. Yeah, there we go. No. There we go. What would you like to tell us about this tradition here? By the way, this guy, this is a soldier. Okay. He was in the army, he got injured. He's home for a short time. And so I just wanted to find somebody who could talk about this memory week that they do here in Ukraine. What would you like to tell us about this tradition here?
This tradition is to share a memory of our relatives who die.
Yeah.
Every year, we in this day came here and take some memories from our relatives.
Awesome. Yes. It's an awesome, cool tradition.
Yes.
You know,
our children, our wives, our.
Oh, this is my wife. Yeah. We're here visiting relatives too. So
Yes. We here every year in this day
Mhm.
after our
Easter
свято
celebration.
He's
Pascha.
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 So just so
Easter,
you know,
yeah.
the word for Easter in Ukraine is Pascha, and it's related to the word uh, Passover. Comes from the
Next Sunday we every year
Uh-huh.
we here
Uh-huh.
in this.
So,
Next week's after Easter,
yeah.
Yes, next Sunday.
next Sunday.
Да.
Yeah, the Sunday after Easter. Yeah.
Saturday.
The weekend
Not
after
Sunday.
Easter. Yeah, because we got 3 graveyards in this town. So we got
3 different days.
yeah, talk. Awesome. Well, дякую. Thank you.
With pleasure.
So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Like I said, that I'm going to have a lot of videos of Memory Week because I really want to kind of document it, I guess. This is not the military graveyard or part of. I think there is a military part of this graveyard, but I didn't get a chance to go to it today. But now you see, actually, we got there a little bit late. People come really early in the morning for some reason. But it's a very interesting time and a very interesting tradition. Viper says, so talking about the mobilization for a certain period and speaking about the Legion having 6 months. Yeah, I agree. Viper says that should be 2 years. Training a rookie, and then after the first FAB encounter, they fly home, wasting resources and time. Yeah. So that it's a real problem, and in many ways, it sounds this. I don't know what's up with this picture. I don't know. Maybe YouTube will hate me for this picture, but why does this dead Russian have a Ukraine? What do you call that? God damn it! It's a musical instrument. Why can't I keep trying to say ukulele? Somebody tell me what musical instrument that is, and why the hell was he carrying it into battle? What the hell? Like, what the hell is up with that? Like, he was gonna polka people to death? Like, what the hell? Okay. Yeah, you're right. He's taking a nap. Sorry. Oh, an accordion. Thank you. An accordion. Why was he running into battle with an accordion? Or did somebody just put that there? I can't understand it. But, 481,000 troops. And you might say, well, I mean, that's a good thing, and it is from Ukraine's perspective, but also, you know, if you're a man here in Ukraine, and maybe it's because you were raised by your mother and grandmother, okay, and so you don't have a sense of what it means to be a man. Herb, he couldn't find an upright base. Oh, God. That's why he brought the accordion. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Okay, but I don't know. The point is that this number of 481,000, almost 500,000 people, if you're a Ukrainian man, you might be going like, I mean, it's easy to think that the Ukrainians say, "Oh, all the Russians are orcs," but these are people, and the Ukrainians know that, and they're like, I don't want to kill people, you know. And in many ways, I don't blame these guys. You want to call them soy boys or mama's boys or whatever. I mean, I don't blame them. It makes me angry a little, but I don't blame them. I wish that we lived in a world where they could just live with their mom and be soy boys all their life. If you want to do that with your life, great. I think it's not a problem for me. It's not even offensive. Yes, Viper is a very important point. People need to realize the Russians don't collect their dead. So we need to operate in that stinking smell. You don't get that stink off you. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, I know, of course. But yeah. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. The memory week and all of this stuff, and it's really on my mind. And this I wanted to talk. I don't know if I did my best job of explaining what's going on with Ukrainian society and how complicated it is, and why this mobilization problem is happening. But I can't just keep saying it's a complicated issue and not try to explain it, So let's move on. Yeah. I want to talk about some other things happening in the news. This is very interesting. Pentagon collaborates with SpaceX to block unauthorized Russian use of Starlink. Awesome. I mean, I probably could have told them how to do it, for Christ's sake, But this is good. I feel like we've come through the dark tunnel. We've come through the night into the day. For 6 months, there was no help coming from the U.S. Armed Forces, or very little. SpaceX was letting Russians use their Starlink willy-nilly, and all sorts of various other things. And now, finally, I feel like we've turned a corner. Things are changing. This is an interesting article to United 24, preserving global nuclear security through Ukraine's peace plan. It says, never before has an active nuclear power plant of this scale been seized and held hostage in a war. Russia's actions at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant have shattered long-held norms surrounding nuclear safety. This is something, I think, above all the other things happening in this war, this issue, the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, needs to be dealt with internationally and by the UN. So I'm still a little bit unclear. This talks about Ukraine's peace formula. I'm still a little bit unclear exactly what Ukraine's peace formula is with regards to the to the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, the ZNPP. Here we go. Ukraine's peace formula, therefore, rightly demands the ZNPP's complete deoccupation, demilitarization, and return to Ukrainian control. International specialists must be granted access. These demands are non-negotiable. Moscow's disregard for nuclear safety is a proven threat to the world. I'd be happy if they just turned it over to the UN. Turn it over to the UN, make it and the IAEA, or is that what it's called? The International Atomic Energy Association. Is that it? I think as long as it's not in Russian hands, if we can get that turned over to some international alliance, something. This is the biggest concern, Max, I agree with you. Max says Moscow Musk. It sounds like a really bad. Given in the context of Viper's talking about the smell of dead Russian bodies on the battlefield, your phrase "Moscow Musk" just made me think of a horrible new perfume. Oh, Salt of the Earth, you're a Nitzer Ebb fan. Very cool. Very cool. I'm an industrial head myself. But yeah, so Moscow Musk should give them Cybertrucks. I agree. That would be freaking awesome on the battlefield. Interesting. So Richard, when our son returned very ill, abused and medically discharged by the U.S. Armed Forces, I was both mad and relieved. He was later offered an intel position in the U.S. Marine Corps and rightly turned it down. Yeah, Viper. With regards to the nuclear power plant, they're using it as a base for their military operations, and it's just incredibly dangerous. A stray bomb, one of their own. I mean, they just dropped one of their bombs on their own kindergarten, for Christ's sake. Having it full of a bunch of military stuff is not a good idea. We've seen Russian missiles fly, fly back and hit the launcher even, I mean, Bell. Okay, fair. USAF, United States Air Force. I apologize. I should have read that correctly. Oh, hey, Stretch. Thanks for popping in on your break. I appreciate it. But yeah, so I think that this is something that really needs to be pushed and talked about. What are we going to do about the nuclear power plant? Just over and over and over again. We just have to ask about that over and every time you're in a live stream or you're writing to your congressman or whatever. Because this is much larger than the Fukushima, or this could be the largest nuclear disaster. Bell. We call them the chair force. Fair. Yeah. So this is a real concern that I know I'm belaboring the point, but I just can't say it enough. So that kind of wraps up what I have to talk about. Oh, I have a few more subjects to talk about today. Yeah. Oh God, I have to talk about that one, don't I? Shit. All right, here we go. Pretty interesting here. My cup, which I have right now, full of tea and chicory. That's what I have in my cup today. But it's from the town of Lutsk, which one person who was in our live stream last time, who lives in America, her city, or actually, I'm sorry, Blonde Bombsheller, your city was raising money, raised like $500,000 for the city of Lutsk. In any case, the city of Lutsk just handed over almost 80 drones, Starlink stations, electronic warfare equipment, and other equipment to the army. It's very interesting to me because I hear these articles, I read these articles, I hear these different news things on YouTube about so and so such country or another gave equipment to Ukraine. And it's usually they gave 80 drones. Well, here's a little city. The city pre-war was about, I believe, 300,000 people. So, yeah. So last four things I'm going to talk about here today. First of all, this is just a report. Just look at the picture. It just tells you everything you need to know. Okay. White Angels come under fire while evacuating wounded from Krasnohorivka. There's not a lot of details to this article. It's just the crew of the White Angels police carrier came under fire from Russian troops while evacuating the wounded from Krasnohorivka in Donetsk region. This type of thing happens every day, constantly. It's another reason why when we set up our training and our volunteer, people come here to volunteer. That's the plan we're talking about now. We're calling it Homes for Heroes. When we do that, if you end up staying here, as people often do, they say, "Oh, I'm just going to come here for my vacation. I'm just going to come here," and you end up coming back because it's such an amazing country. But and Ukraine sort of draws you in with its charm, I would say. But you need to be prepared. And so this that's why when I was thinking about the training that, if I can find it here, the training that Ukrainians are doing, some of them, this type of stuff. It may not seem like it's something that you need, but it is. Even if you're just working in a civilian role, Okay. The next thing I wish to speak about, which I am happy to see, it says, in the Poltava region, 66 people received compensation for damaged or destroyed housing under the E-Restoration program. Now, the article doesn't have details, but so Poltava, just to give you a sense of where Poltava is, just to look on the map. I drove through Poltava on the way back from delivering drones a couple weeks ago. So Poltava is right here, and it's crazy to think that this far into Ukraine would have been hit by shelling and houses destroyed. But yeah, it's actually been hit by a lot of missiles, and especially because it's actually a pretty important military staging area, as you can see, especially for the Kharkiv, defending the Kharkiv area. This is an important point because a lot of good roads come in here. Anyway, the point is, people are getting, now I'm sure it doesn't say this, but I'm quite sure that the money is coming from Europe for this program. So it says 43 applications are being processed, 39 applications for damaged property, and 4 for destroyed housing. But that's such a small drop in the bucket, though, because think about how many here. They said 65,000 Ukrainians, more, so many thousands. Bell. This is interesting. Bell says, some good news for me. I'm starting a new job, so I will be putting money aside for my Ukraine fund. Yeah. Awesome. That's cool. That's really cool. Thank you, Bell. And your contribution is certainly not unnoticed. By the way, Bell is the one who painted this amazing picture, which is what you will receive if you win the drone raffle. So amongst other things, you'll also receive these collectible stamps from Ukraine that are pretty awesome. And this flag, which I need to change the picture because this flag, the one that you see on the screen, is actually this flag right here, signed by one of the warriors fighting out there on the front line. The one that we delivered the last drone to, in fact. So I'll just tell you guys, I've been invited, kind of an open invite, to go back to the guys that we met with, that we delivered the drone to deliver them. That we delivered the drone to come, and I'll probably make some YouTube videos of the drone lab. It's near to the front line, more closer than I was last time. And I'd really like to be able to take a drone with me to give them when I do that. So if you guys, it would really be great if we could deliver a drone on my next trip, and that might happen this month. So Max, it's thank you for asking. The website is not operational yet, so Shopify is dead to me essentially. So I've set up on Buy Me a Coffee. Okay, that's where I set it up. Now you can also donate via PayPal. So PayPal is here. That's the PayPal. aberrantred@gmail.com. My son helped me set it up. So when you see Loki on there, that's my son's name. Yeah. So there we go. There's just two more things that I want to talk about. This may seem like it has nothing to do with Ukraine. A staggering 19 times energy jump in capacitors may be the beginning of the end for batteries. Maybe you think this has nothing to do with Ukraine. If you don't know what a capacitor is, this is what a standard capacitor looks like, although they can be much, much smaller than this. What capacitors do, for various purposes, is they store energy. They store power. If you've ever opened up a capacitor like this, and I've opened up many, I've also blown them up with various means, over voltages and things. They're basically just like, it's like a toilet roll inside. It's rolled up paper and like mylar, effectively. Semiconductive material with, it's like a resistor and a conductor. Then they're rolled up together and they can store it. I mean, a capacitor of this size, what you're looking at on the screen, the purple one, if it was charged and you like put it up against somebody, you could probably knock him out. I've actually seen a guy knocked out cold by a capacitor that was about the size of a marshmallow, because one guy thought it would be a fun prank to go and shake his boss's hand with this capacitor in his hand. Anyway, it's when I was working for Hewlett Packard HP. Yeah, that happened. Pretty crazy. So it's interesting, Cheryl. Cheryl says, I'm in lack of imagination what to do next. My resume takes me to a dead end. Well, maybe you should come here. There's lots to do here. Blonde Bombsheller says, I just want my farm and some borscht and maybe a piece of chocolate cake. No, the reason I'm bringing this up is because of drones, guys. That's why. Because the batteries for the drone that we purchased were freaking heavy as hell. They were heavy. I mean, they're lithium ions, but they're freaking heavy. The weight of a capacitor is very light. It's just paper and mylar inside. It's super lightweight. This fact, and I don't know how close this is to market here, okay? But so researchers believe they discovered a new material structure that can improve the energy storage of capacitors. And I'm not going to go into the real details of this, but essentially, by sandwiching 2D and 3D materials in atomically thin layers, using chemical and non-chemical bonds between each layer. So a slightly more sophisticated version of a capacitor, rather than just two different materials wrapped around each other. There are chemical and non-chemical bonds and 3D core inserts between the two outer 2D layers. Maybe this is too technical for you. I apologize, but I know how capacitors work, and this fact, the idea that it appears that they're going to get, the nice thing is, so capacitors are extraordinarily efficient. The problem with them is that they release all of their, they basically release all of their voltage all at once. Okay, that's why they're not like batteries. Batteries will kind of trickle out the electricity in an even, but it's possible if you have a bunch of capacitors, it's possible to kind of mimic the, anyway, an energy density of 19 times higher is huge. And this, if this can be brought to market within the confines of this war, by somebody who's making drones, this is going to massively change. And I mean, all I can say is I'm glad it's Americans doing this research, and I hope that the Ukrainians get it before the Chinese give it to the Russians. That's all I'm going to say. All right. So the last thing that I have to talk about today: kidnap, brain wash, militarize. The playbook of Russia's war on Ukrainian children. Russia's campaign to kidnap, indoctrinate, militarize Ukrainian children reveals a strategy of weaponizing childhood itself, deliberately targeting the most vulnerable. In the darkened corners of Russia's war in Ukraine, children's lives disappear, spirited away under the cover of conflict. Families are torn apart, and futures are quietly altered through illicit means. Why? I want to start using the word human trafficking. I think that's the word. Like, that's the trigger word for people now these days. Like kidnapping, the whole deportation thing that is used frequently in Ukraine just doesn't have the same meaning. You know. I think we need to start using the word child trafficking or human trafficking. We need to use, again, just like with the nuclear power plant, we need to use this phrase over and over and over. We need to say, stop Russian child trafficking, or stop Russian child trafficking of Ukrainians. I don't know how to say it in a way that can roll off the tongue, you know, like Me Too. I want like a Me Too movement for the children of Ukraine, and I don't know how to do that yet. But these are the so they're talking about a report by, and I'm just glad that the UN is studying this. It's being studied. It's not being stopped. This ought to be justification for the UN, justification enough for the UN, justification enough for NATO, justification enough for somebody to put a stop to what Russia is doing. Russia's systematic kidnapping of Ukrainian children, an estimated 744,000, according to the National Information Bureau, reveals a chilling propaganda tactic, disguising these abductions as humanitarian evacuation. Russia relentlessly demonizes Ukraine in a bid to sway global opinion. It drives me crazy that this is happening. Their unfounded accusations paint Ukraine as neglectful, even violent towards its own children. They justify their actions as saving these youth from the dangers of military activities. It's the orcs started for freaking. The most insidious aspect of this strategy is the calculated brainwashing of kidnapped children, erasing their Ukrainian identity and indoctrinating them against their own homeland. Russian propaganda relentlessly spins a false narrative that Ukraine abandons its children. I don't know, guys. I just feel like this is the way to get Americans to care about Ukraine. I feel like this is the way to do it. I feel like we have to just spam this out there. And it makes me angry that it's not in the media. It should be like every time I go to, Google News, I should see something here about, what's being done to save the Ukrainian children who've been kidnapped. There's nothing, there's nothing about it. You might see one little thing about Ukraine, but this issue needs to be just forced into people's faces. Every time freaking one of these stupid things comes up, Justin Bieber and Family Feud and whatever the hell all this other crap is, I wish that charities like Save the Children, Save the Children, who I actually worked for Save the Children for a few years. Here we go. Save the Children. But are they they've got a thing about Ukraine here. Save the Children is just using this to get more donations. I can tell you that they Save the Children, their quote unquote presence in Ukraine is that they have a children's play area in the Lviv train station. That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, how the hell are we going to save those kids? 744,000. How are we going to get them back? They have to be brought back. And then once they're brought back, a lot of them are extremely young. They might not even, yes, thank you, Silver Earth, start putting their pics on milk cartons. Fucking put up signs at the grocery store. Just printed up papers that say, like, have you seen me? And, I've been stolen by the Russians. Because we can't let this go. We can't let it go. So, that's all I've got today. Thank you all for coming. All we can do is what we can do. So, a petition site. Ronnie, I like the cut of your jib. That's a good first start. We need a petition site. A petition to petition the UN, petition U.S. Congress, petition your local senators. I like this idea. Bring this up in our Discord. And let's follow up with it, because I'm working on a website plan, because this Buy Me a Coffee thing, this is temporary. One of our, a couple of our, sure, Viper, yeah, leave us on the positive. Fair enough. So funny you should mention that, Viper, because we have a proposal that we're working on for a new website that will handle, there'll be a fundraising portion. There will also be a volunteer portion. And this petition thing, I mean, this should be part of it. Should be part of it. And And you know, Susie Q, animals too. Animals motivates people. It's amazing how much sometimes I feel like saving animals is more motivating to people than saving humans. But whatever. I'm not going to be speciesist about it. You know, whatever it takes to get people to care. And you're right. Manu just said a positive. Each of us can do something. That is the positive. You know, each of us can do a little thing, and if it means, you know, clicking on a petition. Oh, Paul, please sort my Discord problem. It's becoming a bit of a joke. Okay, you're not in the Discord, Paul? I thought you were. Did you send me I have your email. Right. Okay, I'll send you an invite. Hang on. Need to write this down. Send Paul Gilbert Discord invite. Okay, done. It's gonna happen. So thank you, everyone. Yeah, wow, Herb. Thank you for saying that. If you lead, we will follow. If you stand, we will stand with you. If you fall, we'll pick you up and close ranks and move forward. It means a lot because sometimes, guys, I just feel like I'm out here alone, you know, and nobody gives a rat's ass. So it means a lot to hear you guys say that. Great. Oh, a link in my inbox. Okay. Yes. Copy. Here we go. Real Dave Seaman just sent me this. Thank you. This is a link to the Discord, guys. If you've watched this far in the live stream, you deserve to join. That's my thing. So, Paul, if you click on that link, I just posted it. That will take you directly to the Discord, and you'll be good to go. All right, guys. Slava Ukraine. Thanks for coming. You made me feel better again. До побачення.